took control of that game one. Now we're straight into picks and bans of this game number 2, and it's going to be already first phase complete. We got the Wukong for Wei this time, the Ari for Tangyuan again, and the Xayah for LP for RNG on the blue side. JDG on the red side, however, we'll have that Aphelios and the Annie and the Kazakhs for Kanavi.
Already some worries coming in from RNG by my eye, because when you're playing against Knight's Annie, best Annie in the LPL, one of the best in the world again. You can say that about a lot of champions here for JDG and their players, though. They're really good. That's likely a winning lane versus Tangyuan and Angel, despite the fact that, not Angel, Tangyuan, Angel the last series. It's just the Ahri on the mind, man. But when you have the Ahri in that lane, last game, it was great because you had the Poppy to gank early. I don't think you're going to have that again. So you're likely having winning mid lane priority from JDG, and having Kazakhs being able to play around winning mid lane priority is very dangerous from RNG. Annie's going to be a flank threat later into the game. Kanavi's going to build up that Umbral Glaive to deny vision, get Fog of War for Knight to start performing in. RNG, they need to be very careful that Kanavi doesn't get to chokehold the map and put it into darkness very early on after that first item.
And I just have to point out that, like, the man has that kind of performance on Wukong in game number 1, and they just say, let's dive deeper into this. Give you Kazakhs. Let's see what you can do. Can you go 30-0? Let's see what happens. At this point, Kanavi will have that absolute resource allocation here on the Kazakhs, trying to get ahead in the early game. Now, we did get through the second phase of bans. We had the Gnar ban, which is honestly rightfully so towards Breathe, the Nautilus ban as well. On the other side for RNG, we had the Gwen and the Thresh ban there. It is an insta-lock-in of that Rakan for JDG.
Yeah. So we see the Gwen ban. That means the Scion's coming through. Interested now if we're going to get the Gragas last pick for 369. It is 369's Gragas. It's good into tank matchups as well. That would strike me as a powerful pick for them to use. Was surprised that he got the Kasansei in that first game. Often very much banned in that first round, as it is in this one. RNG, they don't have themselves a Xayah Rakan. I feel like they do need something to flip this game. There are a lot of squishies you can hook into the team. I don't mind the Blitzcrank as a pick. It gives that X factor you need somehow, some way.
Trying to find a way in here. A little bit of a hover, a little bit of a laugh from LvMao. Does lock in the Blitzcrank. So pulling out a little bit of a magic trick out of the hat here in the last pick for RNG. Just something to offset maybe a little bit of JDG's precision thinking. It is the Ornn actually locked in for 369 as well.
Okay, so the Ornn, good in the tank versus tank matchups as well. Not going to be 369's Gragas, but similar logic, tank versus tank. You're just going to provide value in those team fights and have a stable laning phase. So this game from JDG is very much about you have engaged from mid lane, top lane, and support. Kazakhs is there to help support winning lanes, starve out vision, and allow those engages to have much better angles. On the other side, RNG, they're looking to get a hook, they're looking to get a Wukong or an Ahri pick before that can happen. RNG, if they let that vision go, the game goes with it. They need to be the ones making proactive picks to stop the blackout of the entire map coming in from JDG.
You got to get a little bit of breathing room, as you will. I'm going to keep going back to that one, but especially the nature of that game number 1. You just didn't have any of it. Yeah, you know, it works. It works. But I especially like some of the adaptation, that Blitzcrank pulling away the Xayah from Ruler here. I think they have a lot, especially the way that Wei performed in game number 1. I expect that kind of same stylized aggression from him on the Wukong. But like you said, it's that proactivity that you have to see. If you start seeing any lag in that, it's going to become that much more difficult. And if Kanavi in any way, shape, or form gets an advantage on this Kazakhs, it's going to be a detriment to RNG's faithful.
So, JDG, they open up their new home arena. Plenty of seats in there to fill, and with games like this, games like Game 1, I'm sure their fans will be flocking to fill those seats. RNG, previous MSI title holders, looking to snap back against the current ones.
We have RNG looking at a level 1 with the Blitzcrank, as they should. We got the Gyos in the background. Big crowd tonight. Look at that. So many people here to cheer this one on. And, you know, when you have, again, MSI caliber players going at it like Wei, like Kanavi in this jungle, just specifically that matchup because of how aggressive we've seen both sides play, it becomes that much more fun. Now, we don't get the level 1 that RNG maybe we're looking for. JDG are just too cool, calm, and collected.
Missing, spotting that one out, sees them walk in. Rakan, of course, very safe, can take any one of 2 different mobility options to get out of dodge, should something have happened at level 1. And, you know, seeing those fans kind of in that stadium, I was very lucky enough to see the JDG T1 series live. I was there in the London arena. And one thing about the JDG fans is that they're willing to travel, like many LPL fans are. And they are so damn loud, so passionate, and having themselves their own arena now to cheer in. You can tell how much that buoys the sales. I'm trying to remember who it was. I think it was Ruler was saying that when he's playing in that arena, it feels like you're playing Worlds. The amount of people screaming out at you from the arena.
Helps to be good at the video game, too. You got all those fans screaming your names. JDG have been pretty damn good. Even as we were talking about earlier, having a bit of that kind of MSI hangover, it still feels like now that they're getting a meta read on this, they're jumping from strength to strength here. And now we will see probably a bit of a calmer situation on the bot side unless LvMao starts landing ungodly hooks here. But Ruler and Missing are definitely playing a back foot.
You don't have Guardian on Missing, so there is less of that shielding potential very early on. You can see that Ruler's got the fleet footwork to stop some of that poke coming in. Props the Ghost,
he
doesn't
gets
dodge.
Ruler, though. Does get that flash and the Ghost out of Ruler.
Ruler tried to pop the Ghost, just tried to save that flash and sidestep the hook, but LvMao. Pinpoint accuracy very early on. No boots, no higher move speed on that front. RNG getting some value out of the Blitzcrank early on.
That's what you gotta have, though. You pick this pick to offset some of that stability that the enemy team is looking for. I love that LvMao, after all this time, is still willing to go with all this this craziness in the bot lane. But I'm now looking at Wei, who on this Wukong is trying to be as proactive as Kanavi was in game number 1 on it. He's looking bot lane.
He is, and again, trying to upset Ruler if you can do at all possible. Got to shut this guy down. What can they do? They're only level 2.
All right, they're going to flash on the other side. Ruler getting low. Ruler, he's going to go down. First blood for LP.
King of the bot lane deposed for now. Going to come back. Don't think they can redive as it stands, but they do get rid of another summoner. The heal is gone. They get a wave under turret. This was how LGD took a game off of JDG and very nearly did so again. Despite being a 0-5 team series, they came in with a great plan in their series versus JDG earlier this week. Missing, caught a little bit out here.
Keep on fighting. Missing, dodging out that Granish. Oh, the minion! The minion comes clutch.
Try to hitbox snipe. You can occasionally hit people when it looks like they're the other side of a minion because champions are just a little bit chunkier than those little guys in their hoods. Not able to do so right there, though. But again, trying to destabilize this bot lane, stop Ruler from becoming that ungodly DPS machine in the late game can be very impactful. LP gonna stop Missing from poking his head into that tri-bush. Ruler,
at least he doesn't have the Zaya, okay?
True, that is true in fairness. You don't get the full Zaya Rakan combo with his skin as well. Yeah, it's very classic performances when he pulls out his own cosmetic. He won back in all that time, back in Season 7. But he has to start himself off now with bit of a CS deficit, no summoners to his name right now, has himself a bit of a soft freeze in front of his turret. I'm not sure if that will slow push back the way out, probably will do at some point, crash back in. As it stands though, solo lane's going fine for JDG, not nearly the same amount of pressure. Kanavi though, not able to really leverage anything overweight. They're really now waiting for that first item, Umbral Glaive, to do something. Missing though on his reset, looking to snowball the top side of the map.
Yeah, it's pretty big. Get on these timers with the Rakan and try to influence this mid lane for Knight. Tangyuan has actually had a decent struggle against Knight, but it's not like Knight has found those big advantages. It wasn't until the team fights that Knight started really becoming a big influence. And I think that speaks to something for Tangyuan, who I feel like even last split was having some troubles, but he was in before Angel and having some troubles at mid lane with some stability.
Well, try last series against OMG. Tangyuan had to have incredible early jungle pressure in his lane, or he was getting absolutely blasted in the matchups he was put up against Cream. OMG's mid lane. However, though, you're absolutely right. Coming into this series, first 2 games, of course, he had a little bit of help in the early game for game 1. Game 2, though, on his own, still standing fine. Wait until that level 6, though. Maybe Knight with that first Tibbers of the game can chunk him out and hold him back into the lane in the way that we know this matchup tends to go.
Yeah, I mean, he had a really big influence for a reason in that first game. Now, we did have Dragon spawn about 30 seconds ago. Not big priority given over there just yet. There's really no vision around that either. And that says something about JDG's approach so far. They do want Kanavi to find an advantage, but they're not going to try to overextend for that to some extent. And they are just going to try to get this full wave clear farm for him. While Missing needs to be a little bit careful in bottom lane. We actually have a collapse in mid from RNG, and they get the flash out of Knight. This might spell doom. As LvMao looking for it. The Tibbers enough to block it, though.
Awkward moment from Knight again as he misses the stun on the Timbers. Saw that a couple of times in game one. And given how good he is at the Annie, a bit surprising on that front, but gets out alive, costs himself a flash and a load of his HP bar, has to reset. That will open up a Dragon opportunity for RNG. They'll be able to take this first one of the game. No contest coming in from JDG. So early pressure in bot side from RNG, from bot lane, and now from mid lane, seeing them off to a neutral objective lead.
Exactly what you want to get that early proactivity. Speaking of, though, we got some 1v1 action top lane. That nice knock up from Breathe. Gonna stop 369 from hitting the second activation, and that should just mean the noodle fight continues.
Does Ornn typically very good in those tank versus tank matchups. Tangyuan has a flash, no ult, but 369 just used his E. That's one of his escape tools down.
Doesn't have Spirit Rush, has the flash. Can look for it on 369. Go for the charm play. The knockup going to be flashed out of by 369, though, as Tangyuan was giving pressure to the top lane of JDG. Now he needs to be a little bit careful. Again, he doesn't have ulti. He doesn't have that charm, but the evisceration from Kanavi is definitely there. And Tangyuan maybe wishing he had a little bit more of a health bar.
Okay, Kanavi might have just got himself some gold from the first strike there, so good for him. Tangyuan does leave, however, this mid lane open for a bit. Knight is going to take a turret, lose a cannon, take a turret plate, rather. Not the full turret, of course, way early for that. But still going to take himself a plate, deny cannon to the tower as well.
Actually hilarious that there's a first strike, Kazakhs. Just look for those early picks to get some extra gold. To fuel
it's just really good when you're a bursty champion.
Snowball.
Why would you not walk away with
it? Is.
Particularly in jungle as well, because you're typically the one doing the damage first. It's almost always available when you look for a gank. It's pretty good value, and it gets you ahead of the game, because jungle is a bit more economical role compared to those solo laners. We saw it a lot on Talon in the past, and Kiana, and whatever else really kind of came through with those really bursty picks.
Now, we did get Rift Herald spawn actually on the other side of the map. We did get early focus on the Dragon after that mid lane gank from RNG. But speaking of RNG, proactivity is the name of the game here. Game number 2. It is way starting up the Rift Herald that I was talking about.
So, ultimate available from Tangyuan on the Ahri. Not available from Breathe. 369, however, doesn't have his own one. So I think RNG feel more than happy enough to go towards this. Knight needs to be a little careful here. There could be a flash hook coming from the Blitz. That would be the end of this poor Annie. Not going to look for it, though. Herald over. RNG continuing their neutral objective dominance in this second game, at least.
I love this wake up from RNG, though. It's different to some extent in the way that they approached it in the draft, but the execution definitely feels a lot more cohesive from them. And I think unlocking LvMao on this very make-or-break champion might just be that difference.
Now, the problem is you are, again, rapidly approaching that point where Kanavi is going to get that first item, which will provide an awful lot of vision control, particularly when we get to second item as well with something like an Edge of Night. You really can't pick off Kanavi when he goes for that vision control. RNG, they did hang with it fairly well when it came to that early game in game 1. Just didn't come together in those team fights later on. They had one Miracle Baron steal with a double spellbook, with double smite, one from the spellbook. They need to show that they can hang toe-to-toe with JDG later into the game rather than just the first 15-20 minutes.
Yeah, Kanavi looking a bit aggressive up here. Does not have that first item spike completed just yet, but maybe hovering over 369. Want to maybe punish Breathe a little bit here, as that will end up being the focus for JDG, is probably away from this bottom lane. They will be able to play pretty safe down there. Wei is now looking for an opportunity to use this Rift Herald, and it's got to go to either bot or mid to try to get that in there. Umbral Glaive did get completed just now by Kanavi.
Yeah, there you go. That's the item which changes the nature of this champion. Not necessarily the best DPS for your solo kill. Kazakh's 100% one-shot, but it's still not a bad damage item. And again, it just helps you with all of these engage tools in meta right now. You don't have engage for the jungle, so the least you can do is help your engagers from your solo lanes and support do their job better.
Missing on the roam here. Tangyuan will walk right into a bug, does get the charm down. Spirit Rush has to be used. Ryu's going to go down. LvMao is looking for that counter roam now. Won't be able to find anything, but that is a big ultimate down if Tangyuan is looking to be proactive as the rest of RNG have.
Okay, so Dragon up in a minute. Not going to have the Ahri ultimate available for that one. It's still only at first rank, even with the ability haste from the Lost Chapter. Not going to have to get that one on cooldown, off cooldown quite in time. So JDG, they've got themselves all of their ults available. They have all of their summoners, but the Ornn flash available. It does feel like JDG reaching a point in the game where they could look for a fight if they so wished.
Ooh, we got the Everfrost completed for Tangyuan already as well. So getting back out on the map with that one could help RNG's chances of trying to contest this dragon here, but right now it's just vision cleanup and LvMao hunting for a rocket grab. They actually get the push from JDG in mid lane though, but RNG are hunting.
LvMao being in the river is the most dangerous thing for JDG though. They know he's in that bush. They know from process elimination they could burst him out.
There you go, LvMao, you're all by yourself. Gonna have to flash to your teammates. Grabs Kanavi, who goes right back to the bush with his own flash. Ruler starting to pick away at LP. LP is all by himself. He got TPs on both sides. Breathe immediately running away as the Orn Horde connects, and LP has used everything he had in the tank except for his cleanse, and he'll just go down.
Breathe completely on the other side of the map, tries to teleport in for his own impact play onto the enemy AD carry. Can't make it work. Herald put down into this mid lane, at least get some gold for Wei and Tangyuan, but it's not enough. JDG, we said they were looking for a fight, and they find a pretty good punch onto RNG at the start of this. Gonna get the dragon at the end of it. Have to imagine Breathe loses his TP. LP, of course, loses his life as well. JDG, good first entrance into this game.
Which one do you take better? Is it the TP or the life? JDG do get this dragon, though, even up that odds in terms of the neutral objectives. Not going to be really contested to some extent. I think they've done such a good job to have so much vision that kind of set up that information gathering play that we're actually going to take a look back up now.
Okay, so this is... Again, the vision control, which you are afforded by good macro play, and of course the Umbral Glaive helping out a little bit in his own regard as well. Walks over a ward. JDG spot the rest of the RNG members leaving. They know the play is now, and despite the hook and the ult landing, it's just not coordinated enough because RNG don't start the fight with everyone in the right position. LP flashes out, but the teleport is better from him than it is from Breathe Scion. The Scion doesn't have the angle onto the AD carry, whereas the solo laners JDG absolutely obliterate LP.
Speaking of angle, love that flash over the wall there by Knight just to set up a hiding kill over in the side. And again, I still have to wonder how LP found himself in that position. But a lot of things go wrong sometimes, and you got to find a way back out of it. JDG with a small advantage, but still trying to chug along here with this Kanavi comp.
Ruler's had enough of these hook shenanigans, put down a Sentinel turret, will of course block the Blitzcrank if it starts activating by the time you cast that one, and it just about does. Ruler switching over to his utility weapons now, has his ultimate, has his flash. LvMao not really been able to transfer that early bit of dominance in lane, blowing the summoner, getting the kill, into anything across the map. Again, this is going to be so difficult for RNG. Look at the amount of wards which have been put down around this mid lane. The amount that keep getting cleared out by JDG. The best way to look at this, look at the vision score of both junglers right now. 15 on Wei, 30 on the other side for Kanavi. That's the big difference when it comes to this vision control. That's only going to rack up as the game keeps going.
Because of that Umbral Glaive, it just provides you so much of that vision clearing, but it's also just a nice little damage spike early on for the Kha'Zix. We see how much he does if you get those solo eviscerations, and not much that at this point RNG can answer to unless they get these team fights going together. Again, LvMao will be a big 50-50 moment in a lot of these fights. If he kicks the right person, that's huge, right? If you catch Ruler, he doesn't have as many tools as he had on the Xayah, but you have to be pinpoint precise, and it's just something that JDG are willing to play around.
And it can't be at the same time that JDG are mounting their engage as well, because if the big Orn ult comes over, once the hooks come through, you can kind of interrupt the CC chain, the kill combo. If JDG are set up to engage and then the pick comes in anyway from RNG, I still think they lose that position. This is why it's so difficult. They need to really be looking for the pick before JDG are ready, but they've already got so much of this good vision across the map.
Vision set down leads to wonders later, as JDG have been so good at terms of controlling the map state once they have a little bit of an advantage. And we see that continued here, represented across this entire series so far. I will say RNG have gotten a lot of these neutral objectives for themselves, and that does give them a bit of a hope and a prey. Yeah. They have this second Rift Herald available and a lot of turrets to knock down.
You know, yeah, they are going to put that Herald in mid, probably going to take that turret. Sea-Wedge 369 gets to. Knight is teleporting in. They're starting to spoil for a fight.
JDG want it. Knight coming over. LvMao caught out. Can't get the hook anywhere he needed to go. Yeah, the re-engage down by Wei. The Feather Storm did come out as a safety net, but Wei is chunking him down. Tangyuan can't get the reset there. Wei going down to Ruler. Breathe on the other side. It was LP who picked off missing, but it's a flash from 369, and he secures the kill here in the end. It was a double kill for LP of RNG, but still Ruler perfectly comfortable in the situation he's in.
It's only the 3 for 2, all things said and done, but it's enough for JDG to walk away with. Once again, RNG, they kind of set up in this mid lane, they have the Herald, but as soon as JDG are set up for their own engage, things do not go well for RNG. That's about as good as it gets. You don't even take down Ruler, at least he managed to get a kill onto a couple of folks on their own right. But okay, let's have a look at how this sets up, because there's teleports committed, there's the counterpunch to the Herald. First, the hook misses. Even if that hits, I'm pretty sure it's a pretty bad situation. You're still going to get engaged onto by that Rakan. Blitzcrank completely out of the fight before it starts. And even with the good engagement from Wei, again, you can see the difference between these teamfight compositions. One has much more ability in the extended fights beyond the first pick, especially with the Phalos, Rulers of Phalos running over the fight. This is about as good as it gets. You just don't have the same tools to have that continued DPS. Oh, that's kind of unfortunate.
I was wondering how Knight went down. Nice little feather pull.
I was like, oh, I was watching one side of the fight. Surely breathe him with a Q. Like, no, just doesn't look at the floor. The floor is lava, literally.
Literally, the floor is feathers. Oh, Charm goes a little bit wide there. Kanavi and the rest of JDG able to get out. 369 was on a bit of a flank here. He does not have the ultimate, though. RNG are committing to this position.
They are. This is really dangerous from RNG. Ult from 369 just about to come up.
Okay, missing goes Golden. He's buying time in the pit, though. It is going to be Tangyuan who secures the dragon. On the back, though, Knight has already found LP, and that's striking at the heart of RNG. It's also Ruler picking apart Wei, and the rest of RNG have to run away.
369 doesn't even need to ult. RNG, they get the dragon. That's something for them, but they're giving more and more gold over to JDG. Feels a little bit reminiscent of that first game. Occasionally RNG would take a good fight. They would occasionally take themselves a neutral objective through a steal, a flip, or whatever, but they're still falling behind to the carries of JDG. And now as soon as we're getting to the next couple of minutes, Baron's on the table. You give up a Baron, this game is as good as done.
JDG will just run away with it. We've seen them do it time and time again. We are looking at second items on the cusp here for a lot of members of both sides, especially LP really wanting to get that second item completion. But we're going to take a look back at RNG's positioning here and how they set up around this dragon, which Tangyuan actually took away.
And so, just about able to steal that one. The initial pick onto missing is failed. The stopwatch comes through. Of course, you won't have that for the next fight. One use only on that item, but it's enough to get value out of this. Missing gets out alive. And if you have to be putting your first pick on your hook towards the Rakan instead of someone like anyone that can do damage. Let's be honest, Kanavi, Knight, Ruler, any of them are okay. Then as soon as the fight goes beyond that point, they realize, hang on, you don't have that hook anymore. You don't have the pick potential. We win the DPS check.
Feels like you're trying to get a DPS check in an MMO. That's just not in your favor at this point. Side lane does have Breathe looking at some initiative. Oh!
That's okay. Yeah. So I don't play that many MMOs. I did, however, just pick up the new Diablo game, and I will say there is nothing like DPS checking something. Like RNG, they look towards the DPS check, and it turns out JDG it's just like the Butcher is just spawned randomly in one of these dungeons, and that's just like this thing which just he just runs at you. You don't really have anything you can say about it. He's just really strong, and you just accept your fate after a certain while.
Isn't that the nature of the beast, though? Especially how we set this up for JDG. Like, they did just come off an MSI championship. They have added the right pieces to this already powerful composition of players. And it just feels like the sky, as you'd said earlier, is the limit.
Yeah, I will say, like, I've never played a Diablo game before. I walk into, like, 2 dungeons. It's in the second one. I'm playing a hardcore character. The character's just gone after that point. I just got completely 100-0. And I'm like, that's great. It does, again, feel like team fighting against JDG because at this point, again, the vision is starting to get choked out. You don't have all the best flank angles. You're getting pushed in on side lanes, and as soon as Kanavi gets his second item with an Edge of Night, it just gets that much worse because you can't even pick him off. In fact, actually, screw that. He's gone for the Duskblade, gone for more damage. Kanavi picking up his own carry potential.
Ain't it so, though? That's the way Kanavi plays. That's the way he balls as JDG. So far, 2.5k in the lead over RNG. LvMao desperately looking for hooks to catch out and for RNG to pounce upon. But at Baron is up, and we know from tried and true tradition that LPL teams will just go ahead and flip this 50-50 if they are behind. Right now, it looks like RNG aren't going to pull the trigger on that.
It speaks to the mindset of the LPL teams. It's kind of like some common phrasing in terms of there's a great conversation about language in League of Legends, because in English we have certain memes that we kind of go towards, and we have like certain phrases which kind of encapsulate a phrase of the game in terms of like, like priority, tempo, stuff like this, and they mean different things to different people. But then you go into a different language and things change again. There's a common sentiment in Chinese and in the LPL where it's like, look, this isn't a great situation, but let's see if we can outplay it. That is just baked into their understanding of the game, which has been part of their playstyle for so many years. Around the Baron, in the current meta, because Baron didn't get tankier when Champions did around the durability update, you can burst down Baron and take huge victories even from behind. RNG would need to look towards that again, though. They don't have themselves Spellbook Smite from Tangyuan. He did pick that up earlier in the game. If they could do that again, though, and get themselves another Baron steal like they did in Game 1, that might be an angle for them.
Could just be that. Right now, we're just seeing the side lane allocation come through for both sides, but so far 45 seconds for a dragon to spawn. This would be sole point for RNG. They've done a really good job of trying to prioritize these early dragons. I will just note, though, checking back in on what we were saying earlier on in these comp setups, we needed a lot of proactivity from RNG. We got a little bit of that, maybe not enough, and JDG's comp is starting to come online. You're starting to see those red borders light up around the items for JDG, but it's also specifically Ruler and 369 who are just going to be continuously getting stronger.
369, of course, picked up his own mythic. He's gone for the Radiant Virtue. He's all about protecting his carries. You can very much understand why. Knight needs to not get caught outside lanes. This is a very dangerous moment for him. Again, it's all great if you get set up for your team fight. That's mainly what we've seen from JDG right now. But if you get picked off, it's still a very good pick comp from the side of RNG. Lots of chain CC. You've got Cyclone, Charms, Everfrost, hooks and everything. So RNG looking to maybe get something on that top side of the map. They give up a dragon for it. They don't get themselves an angle towards that Baron. And now, as you're saying, these items are starting to come in. Typhoon built up for Ruler, the upgrade to the Gale Force.
Oh, it's terrifying. We'll see, actually, Kanavi. Yeah, pretty huge trade over the wall on the other side, but LvMao and RNG looking over, trying to figure out how they deal with this very scary bug who hasn't gotten a kill, but is like Kanavi, 50 buddy. CS up right now. Not too shabby.
He's playing with fire, man. He was really playing with fire. It's like, yeah, I can take this ward. Probably. I know there's a Blitzcrank over there. He's looking again.
Hey, don't start talking like that, because once bugs learn fire, that's it might be over for us, all right? I don't know anymore.
That's terrifying. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. Okay, well, let's talk about that one the better.
You put it into existence.
Not intentionally. Not intentionally, Mazel. Not intentionally. Lest we had mentioned Firefly. The Fireflies are onto something all this time. JDG, though, they take down that mid lane outer turret. That's one of the last bastions for RNG. It gives you that control over so much of this vision control in the jungle, which JDG has been pushing hard to acquire. Look at LvMao again. He's got himself a hook. Can he hook? Can he get anyone here important?
Oh, breathe. Hoping to maybe connect if that hook did come through. We do have 2 items for everyone on RNG, so if they're going to put up a fight, that fight is going to be right now. As JDG positioning over this Baron pit. They want to try to pull the trigger here, potentially. Quickness is just waiting to get popped. The grab comes through, but it's straight onto the tank. 369 going to burn his flash. He might just go down here, and that could just lead to resets coming through for RNG. They want a front-to-back fight all day, and they're starting to take it. Tangyuan gets the first kill for him, and now LvMao overextended. He just gets taken apart by Kanavi. JDG are now on the front foot.
Because RNG, they get some good kills. Great. Use the hooks. Use your ability to find those picks. But you got to get that damage down at some point. They can't go towards the Baron. There's too much threat available left on the board. Knight still has flash.
Knight's huge. Knight decisively takes out RNG over the wall. Ruler in a 1v1 against LP. He'll find his solo bolo. Again, you just cannot step to this man in this league as he dominates every single time he hits the rift.
There is an inevitability about Ruler, which is so exciting to watch. He takes over the fight again. It will lead to the Baron and JDG. When one of them falls, there is another superstar carry to pick up the pieces. JDG once again in control.
The multi-headed, threatening Hydra that has become JDG. Off of their MSI championship, there were questions of how they enter this gauntlet of a summer split, but they have seemingly answered those. Even if they drop games occasionally, when they can execute like this, even in these situations, you know it's going to be a good time.
It's a bit of an awkward start, of course. 369 kind of caught between the Scion Q and, of course, the wall. A bit more difficult than the rock in the hard place. Ruler's not able to do damage for most of the start of this fight. And I think RNG forget about that. LvMao tries to get a pick onto one of the carries, doesn't quite land it. And it doesn't matter that you've taken down the front line at this point. Your ultimates are gone, you don't have the same threat, and Knight
here
pounces. He still had the flash after all this time. JDG, I think one of the most impressive things. I mean, Kanavi's died in picture-in-picture. I've talked about that one at least.
Okay, we're looking back at the game now as Kanavi is dead. There is some pressure from JDG on top side with this Baron buff to take this down, but Knight dies to the tower. And things are starting to fall off the wheels here for JDG, but luckily Ruler sets it back up and puts the wheels back on.
He just hops on a trade on the way out of there. Like, guys, kill the tower. I mean, it heated up already. I don't know if someone had dropped aggro, but Knight takes way too much damage despite the upgrade.
Look at that smile.
He knows exactly what's happened there. But JDG, they're going to walk away with the Baron buff still on most of their team, at least on Ruler. Wait, it's actually just Ruler now. Everyone else had died, I'm pretty sure. I don't know whether they had taken it after... Yeah, I mean, Kanavi dies again. This is a bit of an awkward one. So they see them walking in. I think Kanavi is just a little bit too... I think he's just a little too confident when he has the Edge of Night. Doesn't manage to get hit by the hook, but he'd already used the flash in the previous fight, so he doesn't have the ability to disengage completely. And what the heck happens here, folks? Leandri's Tix ends up giving it to Knight, gives it to 369, who leaves aggro, who gives it back to Knight. That is just that to me, to you, to me, tower aggro, and Knight ends up bearing the brunt of that one.
All right, we got 3 items completed for LP. We got a fight brewing that RNG seemingly want to take. They are starting up this dragon right now, and JDG are looking to fight them right back. Got engaged from 369. Knight's looking for the big flash play. Everybody's getting low for RNG already. Moonlight Vigil connects from Ruler, and here comes the combo as it ain't stopping anytime soon. That's a huge moment for JDG as a triple kill came across for Knight. It's now a dragon.
There is a moment in every game which JDG asks you the question, are you willing to fight? Most of the time, the opponents don't have an answer. It's here at 28 minutes in this game too, and RNG, they have fought valiantly. They've asked questions of JDG, which have had some merit to them, but it looks like JDG coming back off of their LPL title, coming back off their MSI title, continuing strong into summer.
Looking to improve to 5-1. Here, cresting over into week 3. They are just destroying the base of RNG, and it's just been back-to-back fights. LvMao, you're all by yourself, bud, and that should just be a pick out. Kanavi ends up getting that one. Does have double TP from RNG on the backside. They want to pick
Ruler just recall.
Okay, Knight just dipped. Knight's gone.
Ruler's gone. Knight's gone. Knight is teleporting back.
He's back.
Maybe they're going to outplay this.
Oh? Tangyuan, be a little bit more careful. There's the unstoppable onslaught. Knight's waiting over the wall with the flash tippers play. They want to find the big group up. There he is! He was waiting in the wings, but it might not be enough in the end. Mystic trying to get over here and help him as JDG just throwing themselves at Royal Never Give Up.
Did everyone at JDG just think, this is my turn to be the main character? They overstay. They think they can outplay. Probably just a little bit too much at that point. Knight does get himself a flashy kill onto the AD carry. It means that Ruler is the only AD carry here. He's got DPS.
Ruler does a lot of damage, man. Ruler does a lot of damage, and he's just going to take out Breathe. Oh, he falls. The combo of Missing and Ruler looks so damn good.
He ain't breathing no more. Scion hits the ground for the 3rd time, and Ruler, again, just any time someone wants to have fun, Ruler's there going like, all right, kids, I'll clean up after you. Don't worry. Enjoy playtime. 6-1-6. Ruler is such a pleasure to watch. RNG, they again forced JDG into an objective fight. But JDG, they're just set up for the engage. And this time, 369 gets to get his 2nd part of his ult. He's been denied it most of the time. But the combo comes from the heavens like a holy rain. And RNG, they are absolutely torn apart.
Those first couple Infernum shots, just setting it up, was doing so much already. And then we see LvMao getting caught out here, but this is where JDG overextended, and the play call from RNG actually came up clutch.
So, 369, And Kanavi caught alone behind enemy lines. It gets a little close. I wonder if Kanavi could have just chosen to dip at some point. Right here, he has himself his flashes out the sign cube, but he just sticks around a little too much. I think him and Knight realize they have damage. It's just about how they arrange it. If Knight catches Tangyuan and LP in that combo, maybe that could work out. Maybe if you kill both those carries, he can work around to a second rotation. It was a close run thing. Doesn't get it done. JDG still in the advantage, still on the map.
We had a Serpent's Fang completed for Kanavi, as well as now just 4 items, almost on that full build for Ruler. He does have the stopwatch as well in tow. Everyone except for Poor Missing has their upgraded items here as well for JDG. So starting to scale into infinity as they are just under a 10,000 advantage. Breathe should be taking a bit of a walk here away from Kanavi.
First strike farming again. Kanavi getting some value out of that one. Maybe force his way. I mean, he hasn't even thought to finish boots. You don't have to. He's already got those slightly magical ones. Forces one of the engaged threats away from the Baron. There is no contest for this one. It is completely gone. JDG, clean Baron take, forcing RNG into their own base. And now the question is, what can you do? What teleports do you have? They're coming up slightly beyond when the waves will be crashing into tower. But what wards have you got to teleport with them? There is one into red side jungle. Don't catch out and missing. RNG, they are looking for a miracle flank TP.
Bissy got his upgrade. Everybody's available. They're all the Power Rangers have formed. JDG now trying to find a pick. Oh, LvMao with a nice little grab. And 369 is just gone. All tanky he can be. He will still be the primary focus. And while the tower goes over to Ruler, it's a nice little fight back from RNG for now. Maybe Wei looking for a bit of a wraparound. Again, you step to Ruler, you have to be up to the task. Can you do it? He has so much healing, but there you go, you caught him! Kanavi, you're all alone! Nobody's isolated for you now, and RNG are making something out of nothing here, as they will end up catching Kanavi as well.
Insane engage from RNG. Starts with a Blitzcrank hook, remove part of the front line, and Wei breaks Knight's ankles. He manages to escape away from the Tibbers long enough for his team to follow up on his engage. JDG, they get caught out when they should have ended the game.
Nexus Tower did fall there in the end, but RNG take advantage of every moment they're given over by this JDG squad, and we'll take a look right back at what you were talking about.
So this is a 2-part thing, right? Hook over the wall, awesome, and they managed to actually DPS down the front line while there's no one in position from JDG to DPS. Then the real game-breaking, the fight-breaking engage happens just after this point. Watch Wei and watch Knight. He has his stun available, flashes over the Rakan, W's to the side of the Tibbers, and gets onto both carries. Wei is one of these MSI title holders. He's got to do it again, though. What's this event is going to go?
Okay. Wei's gone. He's not here in the pit any longer. Trying to get in there. Tangyuan, what?
Breathe, that's it!
Wei! Breathe! He steals the dragon right from underneath JDG! And he's looking to take the express route right out, but he walks right into Ruler's waiting hands.
As is tradition, we come out of a replay into a game-changing fight. 2 dead, though, from RNG, and without the front line for them now. I don't know if they can defend this base. Kanavi hunting for this mid lane, trying to see if he can play around his Edge of Night shield. Heroics from Wei in the fight in the base might not be able to save the game after that objective loss.
JDG want to end the game now. They feel something happening here, and it ain't something good. They're going straight for this last Nexus turret. Ruler does so much here as well. They'll take down the inhibs just to make sure, and they'll have a walk-out chance here, I guess. I was looking to see if they're just going to end the game. They're not feeling super confident to step up now that members are respawning of RNG.
The game goes on somehow, some way. There is one RNG turret left on the map, and it's attached to the Nexus. JDG would love to finish this game before it comes down to another objective at this point. Too many objective steals come through. There are 3 dragons apiece.
All right, Breathe is back online. It is a full-on 5-on-5, but these are the moments that JDG have thrived in recent memory. They're looking to put the final stamp on this. They're trying to take a 2-0 easy night to improve to 5-1 here in the summer split. But RNG do not want to give up. They do not want to give another moment over to JDG. Things are collapsing around them. The walls are starting to close in, as we'll see if JDG want to actually try to push this. There's a couple more super minions coming in from mid lane, but they are hesitant here.
LvMao is positioning for a hook, got rid of Kanavi's spell shield with a smite. He hooks in the Ornn.
That's full build for LP as well, so he's got the GA, so they've got a little bit of breathing room in terms of the play around LP. Tangyuan going for it, can't find Ruler. Ruler pulls that Gale Force. Here comes the engage, though, from 369. Waze Clone tank it up a decent amount. They're focusing on the minions here as Least trying to get away from the turret. That's the Featherstorm out, though. They got Knight. They might have this. Way goes to GA now. LP needs to be the difference maker. Can he step up to the moment? He has nothing left in front of him. Tangyuan can find a big charm, but he can't do it. Nexus Tower down, and JDG, they're putting the end. They're trying to get it. There's the feather call, but it's not going to be enough because you step to JDG again and have no answer. 5-1 are JDG.
Royal never gave up, but it was not enough. The heroics could not see them to a game 3, and JDG reminders in the most flair-heavy of fashions why they are one of the best teams in the LPL and in the world.
Go ahead and give some rightful handshakes there, though. RNG would not give up, as we've said multiple times. It was Way leading the charge on that every single time, it felt like. And having, honestly, a great series, even with a 2-0 loss, there is just that conversation of trajectory, right? RNG, they're building up to something. They found pieces that they like. They're trying to find pieces to add to that. JDG found exactly what they needed to in the offseason of 2022, and they have not looked back since then. There have been some rough roads, but they are reigning MSI champions, and they are looking at a world's birth in their future.
However, I mean, again, you were talking about how RNG is starting to build on something. They had a very disappointing spring comparative to expectations, despite the fact that they had lost Xiaohu.